Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to get into off-season training with NFL kicker Joey Slye. For a kicker, level of importance for upper body stuff, see if Joey chimes in. Really just trying to hammer down shoulder function, some core stuff. We throw in a little bit of plyometrics every day just to make sure that we're jumping around, getting, a general base built before we head into the season. Other than that, if you want some secrets on big arms, stick around till the end. Hop into it now. So getting into the first part of our warm-up, Joey likes to do a couple of different warm-up series, but today we're going to start off with these kettlebell arm bars, kind of training some thoracic rotation, the interaction of like the scapular-thoracic joint, and then we're going to pair that with some side bends to some actual direct movement through the thoracic spine and rib cage. That's a pretty good shoulder pairing before you get into any upper body day, just generally speaking.
Yeah, so breaking up our warm-ups, first set of it's really just kind of on the body.
I want to ask you a question first. Generally speaking, if you're a kicker and you're training in your off season, high school, college, whatever, you might think, why does upper body have a huge impact on my kicking ability? And also, I think I kind of talked about it in the intro, but like upper body days give us a really good opportunity to work on things like core. Like a lot of kickers get into really weird positions at the spine, at the core, and also just dose in like low level things like plyometrics where we can do with a higher frequency throughout the week.
The way we structure our warm-up, obviously for an upper body day, we're going to be making sure like our shoulders, our rib cage is moving well, but we can also like kind of microdose some low plyometrics, some stuff that are a little bit more skill oriented versus as much output. So we're going to be doing some single leg depth jumps. A little bit of it is absorbing force on a single leg and then being able to absorb it and produce force as well. That goes directly into our kicking, but it's something that, again, that we can microdose within the gym. That's not super sport specific, but we're still kind of getting a proprioceptive body response to positions that we're going to be producing when we're kicking.
So I think I'll even have Marshall put in like a picture of you kicking, but like just generally speaking, like relative extension posture, having to decelerate through the ankle and the knee. There's a lot of shapes that you're going to see in here that are like very general exercises that are going to be specific to shapes that he has to see in sport. So like it may look like, general footwork, general plyometric stuff, but it's stuff that's actually going to be pretty specific to what he does on the field. Nice. Fuck yeah.
We're doing an incline dumbbell bench because it feels good. It looks good. We can add weight to it. It's easily progressible. There's small carryover to rib cage positioning, pelvic stability, breathing mechanics, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the rest of the day is pretty straightforward. Yeah. Like general stuff, we talk about athletes, non-athletes, like today's our pressing dominant upper body day, plus some pulling stuff in too, but horizontal push, we have a dip, getting shoulder extension, some things overhead. Other than that, NFL off season, we really get like 4 or 5 weeks. Before OTAs, we get 10 if we're lucky. The amount of progressions we're gonna string together is not gonna be that long. So it's like, just make sure all the joints are feeling good, make sure we have relative strength and capacity entering the season. Nothing fancy on this side of things. Tall. So with these, like bodybuilding, sports performance, whatever aside, we're trying to train relative protraction and retraction. We're able to dissociate that from thoracic flexion and extension. So again, like whether it's shoulder mechanics, whether it's optimizing or maximizing tension of the traps and the rhomboids, RTQ, like generally just staying tall, making sure we're actually getting movement through the shoulder blades and not through the spine, flexing, extending.
Like looking at lifting, kind of programming, basic programming. I think a lot of people get kind of bogged down in like almost a like Dropbox or an Excel sheet of just wanting to take an exercise and plug it in for, oh, these are my athletes, so I'm going to take an athletic exercise and plug it in, a bodybuilding exercise for my bodybuilders, powerlifting for my powerlifters, and they don't understand that every movement is just an expression of kind of like body autonomy. Like, can we actually do what we're trying to accomplish with, whether it's weight pulling us in a certain direction, our body propelling ourselves in a certain direction, lifting the weight up, putting it down, whatever it might be. So trying to express that in a certain way that doesn't specify whether it's a bodybuilding exercise, an athletic exercise, or whatever. It's just what is our end goal to express, and how can we either give an ability for the body to have external cues to express it, internal cues to express it. So we don't really like to label this as a bodybuilding exercise. It's, again, like you talked about, expression of shoulder function. Kind of, can we stack the rib cage over itself? Can we actually get protraction, retraction? And if we can do that, then we can obviously load it. This is kind of a little bit of a regression on what we were doing with an inverse row. It's just what we can grab right now. So just plugging in an exercise that gives us the same stimulus, but we just express it in a different way. But it still is checking a box for us of saying, do we have shoulder function? Can we get retraction, protraction? And can we move around the rib cage well?
Talking about like people commentating on like the NBA injuries and like this fragilista approach to training, like, oh, we should avoid certain positions. You see the same thing with exercises like the dip. Like, I'll even have like orthopedic surgeons tell my clients that overhead pressing is bad for their shoulders, and it's like any exercise can be bad for you done incorrectly. And I don't even want to talk about risk reward ratio because the risk of exercise is so low. Even exercises like a dip, like a shoulder press, but like the real thing is like anytime that we're in a more unstable range, so think shoulder flexion, shoulder extension, things are going to be less structurally supported. That's where we may have a harder time executing correctly. So perhaps we're in a slightly weaker position, more things can go wrong. Maybe we could injure ourselves easier, but like still, a dip done well is not going to hurt you. It's not bad for your shoulders. I remember one of my first jobs I ever had, I argued tooth and nail with the PT in charge about how dips weren't bad for you. So, oh, the risk reward ratio is not there. I'm like, there's no risk to doing dip. Maybe you've had like a shoulder replacement, or if your shoulder is royally fucked and we just regress the pattern, but it's not the pattern that's bad, it's your execution that's bad.
Yeah, we don't want to make absolute statements, but understanding that most exercises is just trying to figure out how the body expresses a movement. The exercise isn't bad, it's usually the execution is not great. And if you execute it correctly, it usually ends up being a pretty good exercise.
Cool downs, back flies. You can see kind of what I talked about earlier. We kind of covered this full spectrum of like getting overhead, getting through shoulder hyperextension, horizontal press, pull from the chest back flies because Joey's a fucking meathead. You guys like this? Please like, subscribe. We'll keep doing this series. We're gonna record a lower body tomorrow, post the following week. We'll try to get 2 or 3 more days in like this before the season starts. So again, if you guys like it, we'll get more into the weeds of his training and kind of some general training topics in general, like you heard us talk about the last half hour or so, whatever it's been. So appreciate you guys. Talk soon.